Welcome to another Pygamepi production. So, last time we built this calculator and went over external files, some math stuff, and some more variable stuff, and some other stuff. Oh, and we went over these functions. So today, though, I want to go over some more variable types and stuff. So we're going to actually make a new file here. And so we went over ones like integers. So we have our integers. They're just whole numbers like 6 and like 7 and whatnot. And then we have our floats, which are point float numbers or decimal numbers. We have strings, which is just a list of characters. We also have booleans, which are just true or false. We have lists or arrays, as some people like to call them, which you make by just making a list of strings or whatever. And so one of the variables I want to show is called a dictionary. It's a lot like a list, but instead of associating it with just a placeholder like a 0 or 1 just for the place it is in the array, so yeah, with like lists you would do that and then you put the position it's in. But with the dictionary you can actually associate it with a string or something, so you can go like list of names, and then it uses these closed brackets or whatever you call them. And then inside here, if you want to use strings, and you do like name, and then you do a colon, and then whatever you want to associate the name with, and so like Z, and then you can also do like age is 35, color blue, and to call this you just do like list of names, and then I think it's like this, and then you just do whatever you want to call. So if you call names, then it should pull out Z, if I did that right. So let's print that, see what happens. So yeah, we get Z. So yeah, we did that correctly. You can also use probably booleans, stuff like that. Like if you wanted to have like a list of something to keep track of what they have or something. If like they have name, you put true, something like that. And you can use integers or floats, whatever, and you can associate it with anything. You just use the colon and make sure it's these closed brackets or whatever these are called. Because if you just have these regular brackets, then it'll assume it's a list or an array instead of a dictionary, and then you'll probably get an error. So the next one I want to go over is called a tuple. It's a lot like a list, but it's called immutable. And what immutable means is the objects inside the list you cannot change, unlike an array or a list. So like if I do list and then like 3 equals 7, then it'll change whatever the value of position the variable in position 3 is to 7. And so it is changeable, but then with a tuple, so we'll have like tuple1 equals, and then use parentheses to specify that it's a tuple, and then you just put whatever kind of objects you want in it. Usually you only want one type of object or variable, so if you start out with strings, you really only want to use strings throughout the whole thing. That goes with a list and a dictionary. It should all be the same throughout. And so you just put your stuff in here, and then you have a tuple, and this information in this tuple cannot be changed, unlike a list. So let's go like this. So we're going to print lists at position 3. You have a position 3, right? Yeah, should. And then down here, let's go print lists position 3 again, object position 3. But then let's come down here and tuple1. Let's just go 0 equals finger. So print that tuple1 at O, print tuple1 position O. So let's see what this does, and let's actually just step through this so it's easier to look at. Okay, so first we're going to print our dictionary from name, and we get Z. That's correct because we have Z up here. So let's jump down to lists position 3, 7. Oh, we're setting it. First we print it, we get 3, and that's correct. We have 3 in position 3. Remember, in a list it's 0 then 1. Starts at 0 then 1. Doesn't start at 1. So remember that. It sort of goes the same way with tuples. Starts at 0 and goes up from there. So remember that. Anyways, so we change it. We print it again. So yeah, it equals 7, just like we set it. And then we'll print our tuple. We get strings, which is correct, strings. But then when we try and go on, it actually crashes. Exception type error. Tuple object does not support item assignment, which is correct because you cannot change what is in a tuple, or it'll crash because it does not allow that. So if you want to ever have a list of things, objects, or variables that you cannot change, then you want to use a tuple. Otherwise, use a list. So there's one more that I want to show you, and it's just a list / array, but the difference is it's a 2-dimensional array. So let's just do 2D. I guess I can't do that. 2D array. It's like a horrible name, but whatever. So to do a 2-dimensional array, you actually put 2 arguments for like this. Or actually, if you're setting it like this, you're going to actually do it. Here, let's do it with numbers so it's easier. So you actually you'll have a bracket for the initial container array list thing, and then inside here you can have other containers, and then in here you can have different lists of just whatever. That will make it so you have a 2-dimensional array. So how this 2-dimensional array works is, if in other languages you have to specify how large it is first, and so you'll actually, for this one, to specify it, it'd be a one dimension. Okay, so the first one is for the how many initial things you have in it. So, and we have technically we have 3, but it starts at 0, so we're going to have 2. And then inside each list, inside the initial list, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 in each one. And so we'll put a 3 because 0 through 3, that's 4. And so it's an array of 2 by 3. So when we call this, when we want to get variables out of this, we'll actually go print 2D array. And you actually have to specify both things to get a specific variable out of it. So let's just print 0, 0 for now, and see what we get. With 0, and that was our first, because here's our first item, or at 0, in the initial array, or list, and then the first item inside that list is a 0. So let's try another one. So let's print 2D array. Let's go 3, 3, 2, 2, 3. So 0 and 3. So let's check this. So in the second list, third position, 1, 2, 3. Wait, 1, oh, okay. So actually, it'd be in here. So the second list, third position, 0, 1, 2, 3, and we get a 3. So that is correct. So that is how you use a two-dimensional array list and how you access the different things. And I'm not completely sure if this works, but I think if you do 2D array and then just do one parameter, it'll print the whole list maybe. Yeah, it'll actually print that list. And see, if you want just a full list, then you can do that by just using one argument right there. Okay, so now you might be wondering, like, what am I going to use a two-dimensional array for? Like, I have no idea. So, one thing a two-dimensional array is actually good for is you can actually, it's really good for game stuff. I'll actually show you an example here. Or, it depends on what the game is. If it's a 2D game, you may use it pretty often. If it's a 3D game, then you have like three-dimensional array or something. It's a lot more complicated. Anyways, so I have a game I made, and I actually use two-dimensional arrays a lot in my games and stuff like this. So this was written in C++, but the 2D list / array works exactly the same way. So every single character on the screen is in some sort of two-dimensional array, and what I do is I just print every character in the first list. So like this would be the first row, or the first list in the initial list, and then every single character would be just each position in the first list in the initial list. So that may sound kind of complex, but so if I were to do this in Python, so using loops, you'd have to have two for loops, or a for loop with a nested for loop to do this. To actually do y, you can do x or y first, but I prefer doing y. And so for y in range, and then you would usually have have some variable to keep track of how big the actual list is, and not just put just random numbers in. But for right now, we're just going to do it like this. So for range in 0, 2, and then for x in range 0, 2, and then I'm going to do print 2D array, and then we're actually going to put y here and x there. And so what this is going to do is, so it's going to start with y at 0, so this will be 0. So for this array or list, we'll first start with this list inside the lists, and then we start with x at 0. So the first thing we're going to print is 0, 0. That's right here, 0, 0. And then this for loop is going to loop twice, or get up to, yeah, in this case it's going to loop twice before this loop loops again. So x is going to get up to 1, I think, and so the next one will be 0, 1, and so it'll print this one. And then after this for loop is done, this one will loop again, and again it'll print whatever is in this list, so print 9 and then 3. And then for this game, to get it spaced out, at the end of every x, you would print a blank line, just like something like that. I don't know exactly how you do it in here. I haven't used Python really for this in the console. Like I have this. It's a little bit different, but I'll show you in C++ once we get into that. But don't worry about it right now. I'm just explaining why you would use a 2D array. You don't really have to worry about so much right now. You should know about it. Anyways, so let's just run this and see what happens. So you get O, 0, just like we said, because it starts at 0, 0, so 0, 0, and then 3, because we go 0, 1, and then we get our space right here, because we're done with our x's, and then we get 9, 9, 3, 3. So it's doing exactly how we told it to. So to make this a little bit better, let's make a line variable, and just for right now let's just set it to none. Remember, none is just the equivalent of nothing or 0. And so then, but then down here, instead of printing this, we're going to print line. And we're actually going to want to print line after the for loop's done, and you'll see why in just a second. So, and then in here we're going to do line plus equals 2D array y x. So remember, plus equals just means I'm adding this value to whatever line is at right now, and we're actually going to want to change this to, let's see, string. We're going to want, oh shoot, we're going to want to convert the value of the 2D array to a string, so when we add it to line, it doesn't add it as an integer, but it adds it as a string. So we'll get 0, 3 on one line, 0, 9, 3 on one line, instead of like 12 and 3. And so then after the for loop is done, we'll have our full line. It'll print that line, and then it'll print a blank line, so that it can go jump down to the next line. And like, you don't really want to print a blank line, so in this case we don't really need this. You just in here and in C++, you have to end the line or it'll just keep printing. So you have to end the line, and start on a new line, and that's what that's for. But in this case, we don't really need it, so I'm just going to get rid of it. So let's unsupported operand types for none type end string. Oh, okay, instead of doing that, let's just do like a blank string. Okay, so yeah, that worked. That was oh, shoot. Okay, so we ran into a problem. So right now we're just, every time x loops, we're adding whatever is in our 2D array at this position, yx, to line, and we never clear line. So instead of getting what we needed, we actually got the first line plus the second line. And so after every time you print line, you're going to want to set line equal to a blank string, just like that. So then when you run it, you get the first line, then the second line, and it doesn't cross over. And so that's how you would print a 2D array, or something similar to that. You'd use loops and whatnot. You can also do it with I don't know if you'd do it with like tuples or anything, but yeah. So there's some more stuff on variables and some valuable information you can try out. Dictionaries are really cool because you can have like name and stuff, and so for different so you can like set like an array equal to somebody's name, like Tom, and then the Tom list holds Tom's name, his address, street, and just a whole bunch of stuff, and like his age. And so then like when you want to print the stuff, like Tom's stuff, then you just like print you just do like Tom, and then you'd ask for his address, and then it'd print out his address, whatever his address was. So dictionaries are really cool. I love dictionaries. They're very useful. And I never really use tuples, because usually when I have a list, I always change whatever is in that list, more than likely. So I've never really messed around with them, but I'm sure there's some cases where you'd want to keep all your information static. So yeah, just mess around with that stuff. Maybe add some of the stuff to your calculator or something. I don't know. So yeah, that's it for this video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Again, please give me some input so I know you're liking the videos and watching the videos and following along and stuff. It really helps me want to make more videos, because I'm kind of getting bummed out about this, because I know some of you are watching, but I'm not getting any input back, so I don't know if you guys actually like them. So please give me some input so I can get hyped up about this whole series again, because I really enjoy making these videos, but with no input from you guys, I'm kind of not, like, I kind of want to stop making them because I'm not as hyped up about it. So please give me some input. So see you next time. Oh, and a shout out to Zappy for helping promote my videos and really helping me out. And also a shout out to my friend Justin Nelson, for helping me out. He let me know that some of my videos were a little messed up and gave me some input about that and whatnot. He's been pretty big support, so shout out to both of them for helping me out.